Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boisterous coming to you with some Grandmaster League Gosu out of the map Ohana LE. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner, we have LiquidSheth as the red Zerg. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we do have the always generous Grandmaster contributor to my channel, DnXZark, as the blue Zerg player. We have LiquidSheth going a little bit counter-orthodox or unorthodox. I think counter-orthodox is just weird, but I guess this is a counter of the orthodox way of doing things. So I guess it makes sense. I just don't know why I said it. By saying have fun, good luck, making sure that that luck gets tagged on to the end. He might have just been about to say just have fun. Then he was like, nah, this guy's going up against Sheth in a ZVZ. He needs luck. There's no way he's going to go anywhere without just a tad bit of luck. And in fact, we do have DnXZark maybe abusing that luck a little bit, going for a 10 pool here. Oh, whew, so thugster. Man, this is going to be... I have a feeling this is just going to be one of those games. 10 pools against Chef don't work out a whole lot. Just because, I mean, he's, you know, one of the premier ZVZ players. At least on the foreigner scene. I mean, I know that everyone's going to yell at me because they're like, Koreans are so much better. So many Koreans. I'm talking more about foreigner because I think this was played on the North American ladder because, of course, I can... Actually, can I watch replays from the Korean ladder on a StarCraft 2 North American client? I think I can because I think I have before. Huh. I actually need to... I should do some research into that, because I honestly have no idea. We have Chef going for the much more standard 14 pool, 14 extractor. So, you know, he's just going to be way more average. Whereas DnXZark does have those 8 Zerglings now pumping out to start streaming across the map. LiquidSheth's Overlord is going to be able to see them at a reasonable time, because there's no way that they are getting down this ramp without being spotted. And it looks like we're even going to see a very fast expand from DnXZark to follow this up, which is a reasonable choice, because once you have this pressure up, I mean, it's very hard for somebody to counter-pressure you as a Zerg player. We do have 4 Zerglings coming up for LiquidSheth, which isn't going to be a whole lot compared to the 8 that are coming out for DnXZark, but microed well, they can actually do quite a bit of damage to your opponent's Zerglings. If you can just manage to, you know, pull them back correctly and make sure none of them die at a point where they don't need to. We do have the hatchery being attacked by DnXZark's Zerglings, which is going to be a little bit awkward. We have this 6 drone pull, 7 drone pull actually, and this should be able to actually clean up this primary Zergling force. We do have kind of an awkward engagement for Sheth happening here. He is going to lose pretty much all of his Zerglings, but no drones yet. Actually, no, 1 drone so far. So we do have 1 drone going down for LiquidSheth, which is actually a reasonable engagement here, as we do see him clean up the rest of the Zerglings and actually manage to keep his hatchery. We have DnXZark moving into just straight drone production, which is very nice. You never want to overcommit to something like this unless you are literally going for the throat. And with this hatchery coming down, with this hatchery that's actually going to be finished like literally just after Sheth's, he's really not that far behind as far. In economy, they're actually on even worker supplies, and DnXZark hasn't quite had to compete with the amount of lost worker time that Chef had to by pulling those 7 drones off to defend. So that was very well played by both of our players. And it looks like we have Chef preparing to do a move out of his own. However, with the spine crawler coming down, with the queen out already, I do not see this doing any incredible amount of damage. And it looks like Chef does agree with me as he does kind of pull back. And DnXZark has actually scouted out this massive amount of Zerglings that are going to be starting to channel their way across the center of the map. So I would not be surprised to see both of his queens get pulled down to his natural, and in fact that is exactly what's happening here. As soon as the queen gets out, it's just going to spray larva onto the hatchery and then move down to the natural, make sure that it is here to defend against the Zerglings. It looks like the Zerglings are going to be preparing to try to break up the ramp, but the queens are going to be here already. So instead, they're just going to go for as many drone kills as they can manage in this natural. This is actually being very well played by DnXZark. It looks like we do have the transfuse going down the spine crawler that will stay alive for a little bit longer. The queen is going to die here, which is a little bit on the annoying side. However, that was very well cleaned up by Zark. And if we look at the income tab, we actually have Zark a little bit behind. But, you know, that's okay, because he does have 8 drones on the way, and that will manage to launch and propel him forward ahead of Chef. This game has definitely had some very nice back and forth trades so far. I think Zark is starting to kind of take ahead a little bit just because he hasn't committed quite so many resources into making these extra waves of Zerglings. He does, of course, also not have Metabolic Boost even on the way yet. He could have it soon. The layer is actually coming out faster than Metabolic Boost, which is a little bit of an interesting choice. Typically, you will see people go for the layer after Metabolic Boost just because that's a more usual way to do things. But we also have the Baneling Nest going down in a fairly obvious spot, not even trying to hide that at all. I don't know if Sheth has actually seen it yet. I would be surprised if he hasn't. In fact, he has. So he does know that the Banelings are there, and that's basically going to be the end of his Zergling probably offensive. He does have a Baneling Nest of his own coming down, but I'm guessing that's just going to be in case Zark tries to go for some level of very aggressive play once, you know, his Banelings comes out, which is something that a lot of Zerg players like to do. But honestly, Banelings just feel like very defensive units to me in ZVZs because they're very much there for area denial. Whereas when you're attacking with them, it's kind of awkward because it just means that your opponent can't engage with all of his Zerglings at once, and that's all it means. We have the Spire coming up from DnXZark. It is actually, yeah, that's a reasonable spot to hide it, because it means that if Sheth tries to dive bomb an Overlord into the main base, it will not get spotted. However, with the Spine Crawler here, it means that basically any Zergling that tries to see that Spire will be able to manage to, and I think that includes any Zergling that actually just tries to break up the ramp, because I think they will have to run around down past this Baneling Nest and then up the ramp past those Zerglings. But, you know, the Spire is right there, so we will actually get a perfect view of it, which isn't the best situation ever. We do have a LiquidSheth preparing to move out with another group of Zerglings. These Zerglings will most certainly see the Spire. We do have 4 Banelings on the way. This Zergling Strike Force should have been spotted by this Overlord, which is why these Banelings have been coming up. This Roachborn is very nicely placed. It looks like the Spire did probably just get scouted. Actually, no, it just barely did not get scouted. We do have these Banelings moving up to the front of the base. And it looks like they are going to be tipping down the ramp a little bit. And oh my god, beautiful Baneling hits from DnXZark. Not so beautiful Baneling hits, missing those 2. And we have both of our players just trading all of their units for one another. DnXZark did come out of that just a little bit ahead because he got some amazing trades for a lot of Zerglings with those first few Banelings. We have 7 Mutalisks on the way, which of course still not been scouted, which was very well played by DnXZark. That's probably why he went so offensive with his own Banelings, trying to deny any of those Zerglings from breaking up the ramp, because if they had gotten up the ramp and they had gotten into his natural, he would have seen the Spire, and then all of this surprise attacking from the Mutalisks would have been a complete waste. I'm not sure if Sheth even has an inkling of these Mutalisks coming up. If we look at his main base, he has not started creating any extra queens. In fact, he's only at the 2. He does not have an evolution chamber even on the way. His Spire is coming up on its own. However, it's going to be so much later than Zark's. We have a big Zergling run by moving into the Mineral Lands. But some beautiful SimCitying from DnXZark is going to be denying most of the damage that these things can do. If we look at the workers kill count, we do see slowly climbing up for Sheth, but still not an incredible amount of damage. And Zark is going to be moving out across the map at this point. We do have 7 Mutalisks coming out for Sheth, which is going to be able to compete with Zark's Mutalisk count of his own, actually going up to a full 10 Mutalisks, which is quite a few. We have the Overseer now moving out to scout out across the base, and Zark might be able to do a fair amount of damage to this 3rd base, but I doubt he's going to be able to do a whole lot past that, just because of, you know, the 13 Mutalisks that are actually coming out from Sheth. And it looks like, in fact, he's not even going to be going for the damage on that 3rd base. He's just going to be going for a couple of Overlord snipes, and he does not want to be in this engagement right now. We have all of his Zerglings getting taken out on the ground, and this is going to turn into a very awkward situation for Zark, because he just does not have the Mutalisk numbers to compete with Sheth right now. Currently, we do have 10 Mutalisks out, with 2 more on the way for Sheth. Actually, like 13. There's 14 Mutalisks on the way currently that will finish up and add to his total number. We have 8 drones also on the way, which will create a very fast saturation of that 3rd base for Sheth. We have DnXZark. Currently, he does have all of his extractors working, which is very nice. He also has an evolution chamber on the way, so he will be dropping down a couple of spore crawlers just because he's seen how many freaking Mutalisks that Sheth has been making so far, and he knows he's fairly outnumbered. It looks like he does have all of his Mutalisks now swinging in, but nobody really wants to take this engagement, especially not Zark, because Zark has a couple of very low health Mutalisks that if bounces just happen right, or if it's Sheth can get the right target fire, they're gonna go down without a question. it looks like we do have Zark trying to take out those rocks. The hatchery does get canceled, which is very nice for Sheth. We have Sheth actually starting to take quite the lead in this engagement, and this is why Sheth is so freaking good at ZVZ. He knows when to attack, and he knows exactly when to back off. He knows how much damage he can get done with whatever he has, and he knows which techs to go for in a reasonable game. And really, he's just been playing incredibly this game. He started off a little bit awkward with a whole lot of Zergling production. I would personally call it an overproduction of Zerglings, but he managed to kind of leapfrog that off into getting just so far ahead in drones by forcing Zark to create more units when he really didn't have the money to spend on units. And this kind of all stems off that original 10 pool that was that was a far less favorably economic start for Zark as opposed to LiquidSheth. We do have Sheth with like 1 Mutalisk lead at this point, but with the queens here, it should be actually a reasonably fair fight. We have no cancel going down on that hatchery, so there are 300 minerals just down the drain. We have the primary Zergling force swinging into the main base. He is going to be able to snipe off the queen, which is whoa! Actually, the queen lives with 1 hit point. Oh, that is one lucky queen. Long live the queen, indeed. If we look at the Mutalisk force, we still have the full amount of Mutalisks. I'm not sure, did he manage to get both the queens? I think he did manage to get both the queens that were kind of trying their best to defend the third base, but their best was just not quite enough. We have 5 more Mutalisks on the way for Sheth, and Sheth is just going absolutely crazy deep into these Mutalisks. This is his ending formation. He just wants Mutalisks. We currently see absolutely no tech ups to Hive. He is not going to be going for Broodlords or Corruptors or any of those slow units. He wants the fast Mutalisks, Banelings, and Zerglings combination that just absolutely rips through your opponents. We have a little bit of attack into Roaches, but I doubt it's going to be all that important, along with +1 range coming out from the Evolution Chamber and +1 air armor for the Mutalisks, which is going to be very nice considering the fact of how many times Mutalisk attacks bounce. It's very nice to have that air armor to kind of diminish all of that damage. We have 5 Infestors currently on the way, and if these 5 Infestors come out, we could see some very favorable engagements from DnXZark. However, currently this is not going to be the best position for him to be in, as this is a lot of Mutalisks versus not quite as many Mutalisks. I'm not sure quite where these Infestors are going to be popping out. They're all going to be in the main base. We do have the Mutalisks stacking up reasonably well for LiquidSheth, but is he going to get the Fungals off? Oh, a great fungal going down on Sheth's Mutalisks, and that's a lot of Mutalisks caught in that thing, and there's a lot more caught in that one. And oh my god, I could see a very favorable engagement going down for DnXZark there, and we have all of the Mutalisks getting picked off for Sheth, and that was absolutely horrifying. Beautifully done by Zark, absolutely slaughtering the engagement. It looks like we have 15 roaches coming out from DnXZark. He smells blood in the water. He's just going to be going for pure unit production at this point. He really, really wants to finish this game off very fast, and who the hell can blame him? LiquidSheth is in an absolute economic lead, but he doesn't have the Mutalisks to defend against this Mutalisk army, because you really only defend Mutalisks with more Mutalisks. We have the third base currently getting attacked. There's not a whole lot of drones here, so they won't be able to do a whole lot of economic damage to this main base. However, with these 16 roaches on the way, along with the Infestors, we are going to see a very favorable ability to engage for DnXZark. We have him running away from the Mutalisks. Not a bad choice considering how many low health Mutalisks he does have in his army. But it's going to be on the awkward side. We have the third base currently getting injured by Zerglings, but there is no way this is actually going to be taken out. And this is a whole lot of roaches at this point, and he's just going to continue to produce more and more roaches. He has the Infestors in the ground, trying to bait the Mutalisks as close to the Infestors as he possibly can. We have those Mutalisks taking a small amount of damage, but nothing too impressive. We have 3 Infestors currently on the way, but they are still a long way out for Sheth. He did time them well, so once they get out, they will have the energy for fungal growths. But again, it's going to take them a little while to get out, especially with this roach army bearing down on him. Even if he does manage to kill all the Mutalisks and kind of get a timer on the roaches, it's going to be after his third base falls. It's going to be after his main is already under siege. And actually, whoa, DnXZark is just absolutely bypassing the third. Not a bad decision. And we do have him just swinging in right for the natural, which is, again, LiquidSheth's primary mining source at this point in the game. We have Sheth, all of his Infestors are finally coming out, but Zark just has the much more impressive Infestor force. We have the base trade kind of starting to go down, but I think that DnXZark is just in so much of a better position for this base trade. He does have a little bit more money, but, you know, DnXZark is just doing so well as far as this engagement goes. We do have the third base getting sniped by all of the Mutalisks. We have 5 Mutalisks coming out from this third base, but, you know, they're pretty much just going to have to run from the Mutalisks of DnXZark, which will probably not give chase, as they are much more focused on taking out this third base itself. We have 3 Spore Crawlers coming up in the main base, so that will be a total of 4 Spore Crawlers, which is actually not going to be an awful thing to have versus this army. We have all 5 of the Infestors now returning to the base, and these things will be able to do a reasonable amount of damage to this entire Mutalisk ball and all of the army. We have all of the Zerglings now falling for Sheth. He only has this small amount that's attacking Broodlings at this point, and there we go, another beautiful fungal for DnXZark. Is just going to absolutely seal the deal on this game if he can manage to chain fungal all of these Mutalisks down. It's going to be absolutely no hope, and there we do have LiquidSheth calling the GG, and that was an amazing ZVZ. Oh my god, that was an awesome way to start my day off. Very well played by both players. I really thought Sheth had that in the mid game, but then those beautiful Infestor fungal growths came out, and Sheth just, after he lost that first Mutalisk ball, it was just all downhill. That was absolutely fantastic. I would like to thank you all for watching. If you would like your games commentated, you can send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. And also, if you would like to watch any other Boisterous action, you can head over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2. This is Boisterous, signing out.